welcome to the Dapper Swede. My name is Johan. Today we're going to make the most scrumptious garlic mashed potatoes, and it also got a secret ingredients of Parmesan that really adds a layer of depth to the flavor without changing the texture, and I absolutely adore them. I have always loved mashed potatoes, but when it came to hosting dinners, I wanted to make sure that it was the most scrumptious mashed potatoes I could ever have. Because if I'm going to put in all that work, it better be good. So I have spent years trying out the best mashed potato recipes. And although I can't say that anyone could ever try all of them, I have certainly tried most of the ones that have the authority in cooking. And I have picked the best parts of each recipe. When it came to my mashed potatoes, I based this recipe on the Balthazar cookbook. And this is the Balthazar restaurant in New York. It is a French bistro, New York, and you've probably heard of it. It's very famous, it's been around forever, and for a long time, it was the hardest restaurant to get into in New York.
I don't care where we...
Balthazar.
Wow.
It's Spring Street, Soho in New York, and I worked on Spring Street in New York, and I adore a French bistro, and I adore Balthazar. And I'll go there for my lunch, and when they came out with their cookbook, that became like a game changer for me. And this is one of the recipes that I loved and then have modified and, in my world, improved, although I'm obviously not at the level of a Balthazar chef. But still, I absolutely adore it, and it's so garlic and cheese. The first thing we're going to do is make a garlic infused double cream, and that means peeling a whole head of garlic. First we start by smashing the garlic cloves. That means into all of its separate pieces. This is a garlic silicone roller, and it is a tube that you just put in the garlic clove and roll it, and it's so handy. So the first thing we're going to do is infuse the cream with the garlic, and this is not a diet recipe. This is going to be the most yummy recipe ever, which I think is what you should do when it's a special occasion and you're bringing people together. No one wants to think of a diet when it is Thanksgiving. So, 2 cups of heavy cream. 1 into a saucepan. 2. Perfect. Then we have the garlic cloves. This is the whole head of garlic, and you just throw them in like that. Now we are going to boil these on the stove. Now, cream, when you cook it, it expands. So if you see here, the saucepan is a lot larger than what you would expect for the amounts, and it's very much taller, and that is because so many times when it bubbles up, it has overflown. So my recommendation is do a larger saucepan. So now I just let this come to a boil, but not a roaring boil, just until it starts bubbling, and then I'm going to reduce it to a simmer, and it's going to simmer for 15 to 30 minutes until the garlic is super soft. So the garlic and cream have now been cooking for about 30 minutes, and it's the garlics are super soft, so I'm just gonna puree it with immersion blender or a hand mixer. You can also do it in a blender, but then make sure that you keep the lid on, because otherwise the hot liquid is really easy overflowing. So the cream is now perfectly pureed and liquid, and we're just going to put that aside until it's time to make the potatoes. So it is time to start boiling the potatoes. I have peeled the potatoes and I've cut them into cubes so that they will be of the same size. What size you choose doesn't really matter as long as they are roughly all the same, so they will cook all at the same time and be done at the same time. I'm going to pour off a little bit of this water, like so. And then we are going to add salt. You really want to season the water to like the saltiness of the sea. So, just about. Put on the lid and we will put this onto the stove. Like so. So I'm actually going to put on some water, boiling water, because when the mashed potatoes are done, I'm going to keep them warm over a pot of water. So I want hot water already made. So here we have the warm cream. We have the Parmesan cheese. Room temperature butter. So I'm not gonna obviously serve the mashed potatoes in this metal bowl, but I'm going to mix it in because it makes it so much easier. And when you make mashed potatoes, reuse a ricer. It is so much better. The ricer basically looks like a giant garlic press, and it makes it so that the fibers of potato remain intact, but it gets a beautiful texture. And it's called a ricer because when you push it through, the finished potato looks like rice. Pour cold water, not hot water. Cold water will release and it will not make it so sticky. And in goes the garlic cream. And I have a very nervous Westie by my feet. Oh, Edgar. He's such a love bug, but he needs to be with you at all times. And that's in with the butter. Here's a little trick that I like with my garlic mashed potatoes. Obviously we have that beautiful mellow cooked garlic flavor in here, but I'm going to take a very small clove and do one raw garlic in here. And I'm doing that because it gives it another dimension and that sharpness. Small clove in this whole big thing is not going to make it strong, but it's more overpowering, but it will taste really good and give the dimension of that garlic. And here comes Parmesan, which I think adds a depth to it. So we need a little bit of salt in this. So. Let's see. Yummy. All right, mashed potatoes are done. Now I'm going to keep them warm. hot water in the pot. Put this on top. That will keep it nice and warm. We're just going to cover it up with the lid. And we're pretty much done.